Hello, Dorsey. Dorsey? What am I trying to say? Hello, Darcy. Sorry about that. Welcome to math class. And today we are going to be talking about measuring in feet. Now, I say that, and I look at the materials that we need, and we're supposed to have our tiles, which I don't think our tiles are in feet, right? Aren't those inches? Our 4-in-1 ruler. Now, our 4-in-1 ruler may measure a foot. I don't know. It says folding meter stick. Well, meters and feet are two different units of measure. But anyway, our folding meter stick. It says we need 2 pieces of 8.5 by 11 paper. So I don't know what all is going to happen here. We'll see as we get into the lesson. Okay. Now, first things first, though, you will do on your warm-up practice 2, you're going to do numbers 3 and 4. Okay? So you can pause the recording, do those now, or you can do them after we go through the recording. Again, there's an addition and then a subtraction problem. Remember, you're adding from, what are you doing? You're adding from right to left. So that's from the ones place up. You're subtracting from left to right. That is from the thousands place down. Thousands, hundreds, tens, ones. And you're welcome to use your abacus if you need to. Okay, so here's what we want to talk about in this lesson. Take the tiles and your 4-in-1 ruler. Lay out 12 tiles in a row and measure those 12 tiles. If you've done it correctly, if you've got those 12 tiles in a row, snug up against each other, just in a straight row, you should measure 12 inches. Okay? So 12 tiles equals 12 inches. And that makes sense because I think sometimes we call those tiles 1-inch tiles. And if each tile is 1 inch and you have 12 of them, you have 12 1-inch tiles or 12 inches. Well, whenever we get to 12 inches, we call that 1 foot. Okay, so it's a little bit different, but it's similar to the fact that when we get to 10 ones, we call that 110. Or when we get to 10 tens, we call that 100. Or when we get to 10 hundreds, we call that 1,000, right? So when we're counting and such, when we come to a particular number, it moves us to a different name or a different unit, okay, a different place. Same thing here. When we get to 12 inches, we get to say, well, that's the same as 1 foot. Okay. Now, when we say foot, you might look down at your feet. I don't know if your foot is 12 inches long. Supposedly, hundreds of years ago, 12 inches was the length of a certain person's foot. Maybe, I don't know, maybe the king's foot was 12 inches long. I don't know. I think a 12-inch long foot is a pretty long foot, but then it might depend on how tall the person is, right? I mean, look at how long 12 inches is. You might put that next to your foot and see if your foot is 12 inches long. I'd be surprised if it is. So I think for most people, their foot measures less than a foot, less than 12 inches. But 12 inches is a foot. 13 inches would be more than a foot because 13 inches is more than 12 inches. 9 inches would be less than a foot because 9 inches is less than 12 inches. 1/2 foot, or half of a foot, would be 6 inches, because 6 inches is half of 12 inches. 1/4 of a foot, right? If you were to take a foot and break it into 4 equal parts, 1/4 of a foot would be 3 inches, right? If you took those 12 1-inch tiles and divided them equally into 4 groups, you would have 3 tiles in each of those 4 groups. So 1/4 of 12 inches is 3 inches. 1/4 of a foot is 3 inches. And so we could also say 1/4 of a foot is 3 inches. Okay, so that's pretty exciting. Now you're going to take your folding meter stick, and I guess that in your folding meter stick, there's a side that has inches on it. And when you look at the side that has inches on it, you should see 36 inches, right? Well, 36 inches is the same as 1 yard. Okay. Now, you might, your mom might sometimes say to you, go play in the yard, and you run out the back door and play in the backyard. This yard is not the same as that yard. Okay, this yard is a linear distance in a straight line. And it is 1 yard is 36 inches. Okay. All right, so now the question is, which is larger, 1 yard or longer, 1 yard or 1 foot? Well, hopefully you clearly see that 1 yard is longer than 1 foot. One way we can tell, besides looking at a 12-inch ruler as compared to a 36-inch ruler, we can also know that 36 inches is bigger than 12 inches or greater. So 1 yard is greater than 1 foot. But then the question is, how many feet are in a yard? Because clearly there's more than 1 foot in a yard. Well, take your folding meter stick and have it laying on the side showing inches, and place your ruler up next to it, okay? And put the 0 of the ruler on the 0 of the meter stick, or the inches on the meter stick. If there's not a 0, match up the 1 with the 1 and the 2 with the 2, and all your numbers should match up to 12, right? And that's 1 foot. And then you see there's more of the yard left. So now that's 1 foot. Now move your ruler so that the 0 lines up with the 12, because the 12 on the meter stick was included in the first foot, right? So now put the 0 on the 12, and now the ruler should extend to the 24 on the folding meter stick. And now that's 2 feet. And now slide the 12-inch ruler so that the 0's on the 24, and the 12-inch ruler should extend to the 36. So we did 1, 2, 3 rulers to equal 36 inches, right? So it takes 3 12-inch rulers to make 36 inches. It takes 3 feet to equal 1 yard. Okay. So 12 inches equals 1 foot. Those are the same distance or length. 36 inches, 1 yard, 3 feet. I'm sorry. 3 feet. I don't know what that was, 3 feet. But 3 feet is all the same, right? 36 inches, 1 yard, 3 feet is all the same. Now, when we have a measuring stick that is 1 yard long, we call it a yardstick. Okay. All right, so here's what we're going to do today. Now, hopefully you've got 2 sheets of paper. And hopefully your 2 sheets of paper that are 8.5 by 11 inches, regular sheets of paper. I want you to lay those pieces of paper side by side so that the long sides of the paper are touching each other, right? So it would look something like this. We'll pretend like I can draw rectangles, right? So see how there's the long side of the paper, and then the other paper is going to be right next to it, like that. Okay, so that the long sides are touching. Okay, and you're going to measure the width of the 2 papers, right? So this width right here, not just 1 sheet, but 2 sheets. And you're going to measure the diagonal. So you're going to start in one corner and measure to the opposite corner like that, the diagonal, right? So you're going to measure that way, and you're going to write down in your math journal. In fact, set up your paper so you can measure them, and then do a drawing like I did here in your math journal. And you're going to write here the feet and inches, if any, when you measure this, right? And then you're going to write here the feet and inches when you measure on the diagonal, okay? FT is the way we abbreviate feet or foot. IN is the way we abbreviate inches. I guess we're supposed to put a period after the IN, but we don't use a period after the FT. Okay. All right, so that's problem number 1, okay? Now, problem number 2, let me clear this out of the way. And we'll say this is problem number 1 for today. Now, problem 2, what we're going to do is, instead of our papers being this way, where the long sides are touching, we're going to put our sheets of paper this way, where the short sides are touching. Okay? And so we're going to lay out our papers this way. We're going to draw this in our math journal. And we're going to measure this side right here. And we're going to write out how many feet and how many inches. And then we're going to measure the diagonal again. And we'll write how many feet, how many inches. Now, I'm saying how many feet, how many inches. It may turn out when you measure that there's just no inches. That's okay, all right? It can be just feet. I don't think anything will be just inches in what we're measuring. I think most often there will be a number for the feet and a number for the inches. Okay? So those are the 2 problems that you were to do with your sheets of paper, and you need to record that in your math journal so I can see it. You're also doing warm-up practice 2, numbers 3 and 4. That's your math for today.